What's going on, everybody? It's Ricky with Video Homicide, back with a VHS haul. It's been a while since I've done a proper VHS haul, mostly because I haven't necessarily really been out there hunting, haven't been to the thrift stores that often, haven't really been to any movie stores in a long while. So today, me and Kayla, we decided to go to two thrift stores, and I didn't really hit the jackpot, but I was very satisfied with picking up 6 films. Also, when I walked into the store, all VHS, they're usually $1. They're now 77 cents for today. So I was like, save almost a quarter basically, so you don't pay tax. I think I paid like $4.50 for these 6 flicks, but they're all movies that I've either seen or I've really wanted to see or I really wanted into the collection. There were a few movies that I passed on, still trying to get past that, like, that feeling or mentality, like when you see a flick that's really good and I already own it and I just want to buy it. It's weird because I seen like a copy of Taxi Driver, the one that I got from my dad, like the original copy we had, and the case was like really nice and mint, but I put it back because I have the original copy and I have a different art variant VHS tape. I forget the release, a different release, and I also have the DVD. But I said, fuck it, I'm not going to spend, even though it's only 3/4, like, I'm not going to just keep stockpiling stuff that I already have in a slight chance of, I can use it as trade fodder or whatever it is. So that's one thing you really got to consider when you're out there buying, movies and stuff. If you see stuff that you think you might be able to sell, if you're not actively like out there trying to sell tapes and stuff, you're just going to probably end up sitting on the shit. So it's better off to just leave it for the next guy. Like, I used to pick up copies of Pulp Fiction all the time because I thought like it was going to become like this hipster thing where everyone has like a copy of Pulp Fiction on tape, even though they're like born in fucking 2003. You know what I'm saying? Not that there's anything wrong with wanting, I'm not trying to fucking trigger anyone, but if you got triggered, then you know what I'm saying? Anyways, we're going to get to the movies. The first one is going to be a true trash dash type film. We got White Heat. I believe he said he preferred White Heat over Public Enemy. I could be wrong on that. If I am, Danny, I'm sorry, buddy. But the cool thing about this is a James Cagney film, of course. James Cagney, famous for movies like Public Enemy. Tons of other films from the 30s to the 40s. Lots of gangster flicks. He's one of the most, well-regarded icons, gangster cinema icons, along with people like, God damn it, I'm totally blank. Edward G. Robinson, Tony Montana, of course, like Ray Liotta, Rob De Niro, Pesci, Keitel, countless others. But, if it wasn't for guys like Cagney, there wouldn't be any of those other dudes that I just mentioned. So really looking forward to checking this one out. This is actually the movie in Juice, the Ernest Dickerson film Juice with Tupac Shakur, Omar Epps, of course. This is the film that they're watching when they're in Steele's parents' apartment. Of course, famous line, "Made it, ma, top of the world." Like, this is just, a good pickup for a couple of quarters. Throw that at the couch. This is a movie that I thought that I've seen, but I've been thinking about it, and I've definitely not seen this flick. It's a disaster flick, and it's called Earthquake. Now, the real reason that I picked this flick up is because of Charlton Heston. Of course, Richard Roundtree is in this film, who was Shaft. And there's a few other... George Kennedy is in this film. Lauren Green. A couple other people that I don't recognize their names. But I'm always into a movie like this. I love movies like Poseidon Adventure. I love movies, from the 70s, Towering Inferno. There's quite a few of these types of flicks. And I'm really looking forward to watching this. Probably watching this with my dad this weekend because it is his birthday. So maybe we can squeeze this in one point. But anyways, it was from, not an exact date on here, but it was directed by, of course, it's 1974. But the director's name is covered by the shitty PG sticker. And always another tip for all you VHS collector fuckers out there. Always check that it's the right tape. And there's no mold on the tape, because that is like a nightmare to deal with. It can be dealt with, but it can be a nightmare. So I wouldn't recommend picking up moldy tapes. This is another film I've never heard of, but I thought it looked so fucking cool. It's Tony Curtis stars in a Melchiam Golan film called Lepke, or Lepk. Don't really know how to pronounce the name of this film, but it's an R-rated gangster picture that takes place during the Depression. And, the thing that sold me was that it's rated R, and it appears to be from 1974 also. So a couple of 74 flicks in this pile. Really cool stuff. I love that painted artwork on the cover. It says he was the king of crime when crime was king. So that sounds really cool, man. Let's see, do this one first. So this was to go along with the Black History Month rather. We got Pam Grier in who the fuck directed this? Was it not? Yeah, Jack Hill in Jack Hill's Foxy Brown. And this film is also from 1974. Holy fuck, what a coinky dink. Foxy Brown, I don't think is as good as Coffee, but I love me some Pam Grier, and I just love 1970s blaxploitation cinema. And Pam Grier is one of the top-notch actresses of the time for this type of cinema, and I just think that she's very, she's a beautiful woman, and I'm glad to have this on tape in the collection, because I have Coffee on tape. Now I got Foxy Brown. All I need is like Sheba Baby. And I got Sheba Baby on DVD. And it's been so long since I've watched that flick that I don't even remember what it's about. But I definitely watched it because I was on this major kick like years ago, trying to watch as many blaxploitation flicks as possible. Movies like The Black Gestapo, The Black Godfather, Penitentiary. I remember watching Penitentiary a long time ago, or starting it. I think it was on Tubi or something. And I finally just watched it like last year, not too... I made a video talking about it, I'm pretty sure, but this was a good score for a couple of quarters as well. So Foxy Brown. It looks like, as far as the stuff in the store was concerned, it looked like somebody recently got rid of all their stuff, because there was a lot of like what I would consider good stuff if I didn't already either own it or just was, have it on DVD, or certain movies I just don't really give a shit about owning. I can watch on the computer anytime. And I go with that. So we got two more flicks, and this is a movie that I've been I love. It's one of my favorite films of the 1930s, and it is James Whale's Bride of Frankenstein, which is, I believe, the same type of sequel that you get with a movie like Aliens, Godfather Part 2, just Terminator 2, like tons of sequels that were like either as good or even better than the original. I think this movie is much better than Frankenstein, although, I'm not trying to sound sacrilegious. I love Frankenstein. It's one of my favorites, but I do think if I was to choose, if I'm going to throw on a flick randomly, it's going to be Bride, just because I like the interactions with the monster and Dr. Pretorius. I love pretty much everything Dr. Pretorius does in this film. If you're hungry for more Pretorius and also James Whale, check out a film called The Old Dark House, which is fantastic. I watched that for 31 Days of Horror in 2021, just a couple of months ago, and I'm really happy to finally have this particular, the classic collection released, because this is when my dad was collecting these films back in the day. This was the exact volume or variant or release, you know what I mean? Like, so I got The Mummy, The Wolfman, Frankenstein, Dracula, Bride, and Creature from the Black Lagoon, and that's pretty much all I need. I got The Invisible Man as well, but if I didn't mention The Mummy as well, but the rest of them, I just don't really have that big of an issue trying to watch or the need to want to watch, because, the fact is, a lot of these Universal films, they're not all fantastic, they're not all gems. Like, it's not just like, I don't know how many there are. I think there might be 30, or let's say there's 50. If there's 50 Universal monster films, 10 are like amazing, and then the rest are just like meh or whatever. You know what I mean? So that's not me trying to steer you away from wanting to watch the Universal horror films, but it's just a peace of mind. You know what I mean? Like, they can get boring. I've watched a few that were like rather boring and just kind of turned me off. And then you kind of got to like cleanse the mind by watching like an exploitation film from like the 70s or something. One movie that keeps coming up, or one director that keeps coming up in my mind in the last couple of weeks, is Herschel Gordon Lewis. I have a feeling one of these nights I'm just going to bite the bullet and do, or maybe I'll take a week and watch Blood Feast, Color Me Blood Red, and 2000 Maniacs, and then maybe Wizard of Gore, and then Gore Girls, and just have like a a nice marathon of H.G. Lewis flicks, because I think he's one of the best examples of like independent filmmaking, where he was doing everything from like writing the script, shooting it, directing it, editing it, scoring it, you know, everything, doing the voiceovers on certain shit. Like, he was a powerhouse of a filmmaker, and he's sadly missed. So Herschel Gordon Lewis, he's one of the, you know, he's known as the Godfather of gore. That's a title that a lot of, you know, artists within the horror cinema realm take. Guys like Tom Savini, you know, guys like Lucio Fulci, guys like Mario Bava, and even like the guy that I just mentioned, H.G. Lewis. But I think they're all like, you know, just horror icons, and that's pretty much what I've always called them. But I would say he's a godfather of gore, because if you've seen Color Me Blood Red, or even Color Me Blood Red is my favorite film of his. A lot of people, and it blows my mind that a lot of people that I've talked to, had conversations about his films, they say, no, I prefer Wizard of Gore or Blood Feast. And I'm like, fuck, I don't know, man. Like, Blood Feast was my first exposure to H.G. Lewis. My uncle, he was always talking about this weird movie where this guy goes, have you ever been to an Egyptian feast? And he would do like this facial expression. And I was always like, I got to see that film. And then one year for my birthday, because he was a total cinephile, he still is, and a lot of my movies behind me are from his collection in terms of the tapes. Not a lot of them, maybe like, if let's say there's 100%, probably like 25% are from my Uncle Mike, 25 are from my dad, and then the rest I picked up from thrift stores and stuff on my own. But he gave me Blood Feast, and I remember thinking like, wow. And that was back when I was still in the mindset of like, these clamshell movies. I didn't like them. I didn't want to collect them. I wanted to collect, you know, these cardboard spines, which I've mentioned in the last few videos. Like, they are not built to last. Like, even this copy of Bride of Frankenstein is kind of beat up a little bit on the corners, but I'm not trying to get this graded or any bullshit like that. And that's probably how I'm going to end the video after I talk about this next film, because I just want to rant about that grading shit for a sec. I'm just throwing tapes like they're fucking baseballs over here. But the last tape of the haul is another Universal monster flick. It's one that I already owned, but I just had to pick it up because it's so just you know, a relic of the past. This is Dracula, and this was a previously owned rental film, you know, from North York, Ontario. I just really dig it. You know, North York Public Library. We got Dracula. I like this because it's been around. It's sort of like a passport or a sketchbook. It even has like all these stickers, like when it says due. So like it got its heyday in '93. So this tape must have been a '93 release. But yeah, what can you say about Bela Lugosi? What can you say about Todd Browning, I believe, and Dwight Fry, who of course is just excellent as Renfield in this film. I've talked about it a lot over the years, and I'm not going to bore you with me just like going, oh, I love this film, but I really love this film. But that concludes the haul portion of the video, and I just kind of want to, you know, shoot the shit about some random stuff. But definitely this graded tape thing, it really is a turnoff to me in terms of, you know, VHS collecting. And I think that there's so many movies out there now that are being released all the time on DVD, Blu-ray and stuff, that they're just so non-interesting to me that I say to myself, oh, I just want to collect like VHS stuff and all that. But you go to like thrift stores and stuff, and most of the time it's cleared out. Like today was a rare example, okay? But a lot of times there's nothing, you know, and it's always such like, oh, for fuck's sakes. And then when there is like one thing, it's the wrong tape, or it's like moldy, or it's just beat to shit. And that happens. And you know, like I even seen a guy recently, within the last like month or so, he was and this is kind of smart, but he was like pulling up trailers of movies, and then he was also like listening to he was looking at the records, and he was like listening, like looking them up, the 45 little, you know, like single track little miniature 45s, and was listening to that. And I was like, that's kind of crafty and everything, but like, are you doing that because you want to own it, or well, I guess in the case of the music guy, maybe he just wanted to own it, but you know, it's still kind of a turn off, because it's like, is this guy looking up the price? You know, like tapes, like this guy, this Gary V guy that everyone like strokes their cock over is like saying, oh, go buy VHS tapes because these are going to be worth money and all this. And it's like, okay, yeah, you're saying that, but now when I go to the fucking thrift store, all that's there is like Lethal Weapon 4, you know? And I miss the days of being able to go and get like 20 tapes in a day. And I used to do it. Like there's video proof back in the day. I would go hit up like three or four thrift stores and just hit a jackpot, man. Nowadays it's so much different because, you know, I'm not totally blaming it on the grade thing, but I still think that's a total fucking just a jip, you know what I mean? It's just another way for them to capitalize on stuff we love and, you know, make it into like this investment thing. And I get it, everyone wants to like invest their money on certain shit, but when it becomes about like the money, like the price of stuff, like I never looked at my collection and been like, oh, this collection's worth so much money. No, I look at it and I'm like, wow, this is all stuff that I love and I could like watch at any time. And that's the big difference between loving movies and loving just collecting stuff. And it's fine, you know, people collect Garbage Pail Kids, people collect basketball cards, Pokemon cards, all that kind of stuff, but like at the end of the day, it's like you look at the front, you look at the back, that's it. You grade a Pokemon card or a hockey card, that's understandable because that has no inside. Grading a comic book is weird for me because like you're never going to read that comic. You're never going to read it on that newsprint. It doesn't matter, man. The fucking, when you look at comics, the original comic printed on the newsprint will always look better than these fucking trade paperbacks. Like they, like even like especially with these Marvel ones, because I remember I was watching Cartoonist Kayfabe. They were showing off some Barry Windsor Smith, Weapon X, Wolverine stuff, and I was like, man, that would be, you know, the art was amazing. I said I'd love to own some of those books. I went there, I seen the trade. I'm like, fuck, I could grab the trade and be done with it. Started looking at the art. It just did not look the same as what I seen on the screen, and that's a big no-no for me because I want my stuff to look a certain way. I want it to look dope, and if I can't get it, you know, then fuck it, man. But you know, like what I'm getting at is like a graded comic you're never gonna be able to read. A graded movie, like what the fuck is that? Like I just find that insane. And same with like a graded video game. Like I just find that so like strange, you know, and making it about money and just not and like taking away the fun of it. So there's my little 2 cents on that. Well, that's pretty much going to cover it for this video, everybody. Thanks for watching. Be sure to leave a 666 in the comments. Go ahead and check out the Filthy Ralph and Raise the Dead zine. Go watch the video I uploaded a couple of weeks ago. Find out how you can get that in your hands. And with that being said, I appreciate everybody for watching, and adios.